morning, everyone. Welcome to American Scousers Morning Coffee or Tea with American Scouser on a Wednesday morning where, that's right, I'm back to being the greatest dads ever. Number two is somewhere in Texas. Actually, he's over here now. Gordo is here going on a quick vacation, and then I think moving permanently back to Texas over there. So maybe we'll try to get him. John is not with us today, but we will have a guest shortly. Stephen Luna is going to be joining us for the first time. So we'll get to meet with him and talking about all this Kerkez stuff going on. Robertson rumors in the background, so we'll get to all that. But good morning to everybody. Hope everybody's well. As everybody's joining, good morning, good morning. Alan is with us from a wet Houston, really? Actually, it's sprinkled a little bit over here. You would think after it rains, like the ridiculous humidity in the air would be gone, but you'd be freaking wrong. It's still pretty nasty out there. And Günaydın is right. Ozan Kabak is in there. What is the goal this summer? Honestly, there's a lot going on. We do have a couple of new people joining us. Steven is hopefully one of them. He'll join us in air in a little bit. But the biggest thing is obviously we're getting ready for the podathon, the 24-hour podathon. It's going to happen. We have the date set, so it's going to start the day before the Charity Shield game, and then it will go with basically we'll finish off with the Charity Shield live watch along, and then an hour after that. So we'll see. Basically, we're trying to see if we're doing it on site at a location or whatever. But the 24-hour podathon is alive and well. Nobody is happier about it than Galli and Bickler. But yeah, we're going to be live for 24 hours straight. So we're kind of like getting ready for that. It's in the works right now. Really making a push on the social media. If you're not following us, for example, on Blue Sky, Twitter, all these areas, Instagram, obviously Facebook, which where we all started and stuff like that. Do join us there and give us a follow as well. Definitely here. If you have not subscribed, please do that. And if you're watching us live right now, hit the thumbs up and we'll get things going. But otherwise, yeah, we have a couple of new writers joining us as well for the website, which will be pretty awesome. There are actually like a couple of guys from the other side of the pond. So it's interesting to get like this whole world perspective over here. But we're doing favorite social media outside of YouTube. Man, I don't know. Favorites in what sense, I guess. I probably use Facebook the most because I get to connect with most people the most, especially like people back home and stuff like that. You kind of like I guess I get a wider range of people there. I feel like on other social media is really Liverpool heavy for me. Even on Facebook is really Liverpool heavy for me. But at least Facebook is like a glance from like other people here and there. But let's bring on Steven over here. I think he's ready to roll over here. What's
Hello,
going on?
hello. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. I'll let you introduce yourself to the gang over here, where you're
Sure.
located, your Liverpool background, the whole works.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me on. I appreciate jumping on and chatting Liverpool with you. My name's Steven. I am in Central Texas, Waco, to be exact. Been here about almost 9 years now. From California, was part of the Orange County Liverpool Supporters Club out there. Been following Liverpool, gosh, almost 20 years now. My mom, funnily enough, is from Manchester, grew up in Manchester, grew up in a Manchester United home. And I think like everyone during their rebellious teenage years.
I was wondering that. I'm like, okay.
And during my rebellious teenage years, everything that my family wanted me to do and support, I chose the opposite. So, grew up as a teenager watching Stevie G and just fell in love. Got to watch the Miracle of Istanbul through some shoddy third world country streams, but it's been a blast. I've made some incredible friends over the years supporting Liverpool, and excited to be here.
Yeah, good to have you on, man. Because I know you mentioned like you guys had a podcast and stuff like that in the past as well, and I didn't know like you were in the supporter clubs and all that as well. Let me ask you that because this is kind of like intrigues me as I talk to different people. The supporter club experience, like how would you rate that, describe that? Because I have spoken to several people over the years where some of them really love it and some of them like would rather have been official at least.
Yeah. I think my opinion's probably changed a bit. I've been out of it for a long time. We don't have a supporters club here in Waco. But I had found an unofficial Facebook group. I guess it was 2012, probably. And everyone was watching at home. It was just a place for people to come and chat on Facebook. And then we found there were two brothers that were bartenders at a bar back in Orange County, where I'm from. And small club, they're like, hey, let's talk to the owner. Maybe we can open up. We'll work the bar. And, West Coast game time, we're talking 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. Owner was cool with it. And that first game of the 13-14 season, I think there was maybe 10 people that showed up. It was a 4:30 kickoff. I think that was the game. We had that last minute penalty save against Stoke. And it just grew from there. And I think by the end of the season, obviously chasing the title brings a lot of value, a lot of hype. To where it was a standing room only. I mean, people were out on the curbs just trying to get a peek in, and it was a blast. We traveled. It was right before Liverpool came to the States. They played Chicago, New York, and I think North Carolina. Huge group of us traveled together. We got connected with the LA club group and the San Diego group, and we would travel back and forth between each other's supporter bars, and it was a blast. But then, I've gone back over the years, and it just feels different. It feels really like over organized, and
Yeah,
so
I know.
I think it's lost a little bit of its heart because there's so much specific things that the club expect and need for the supporter clubs to do that it's lost a little bit of its heart, at least for me. And I love watching the game expand and grow in popularity over here. But part of me misses the brotherhood of the closeness that there used to be when no one used to watch. It was like,
it's like they legalized being a Liverpool fan. So we were doing it underground in some ways. I mean, that's kind of like how I started the site initially, because you knew like there were people around, but it was almost impossible to connect. So like the site's goal was that when we started. It's almost 8 years ago now. And then I know what you mean, though. I feel like with supporter clubs, especially in the beginning, it's almost like a bunch of guys getting together, doing their hobby or whatever, like following their passion together. It's like a crazy adventure. We're going to get together at 4:30 and watch Liverpool.
Right.
But as it goes, I notice not all. I mean, there are some really, really awesome supporter clubs and really awesome presidents who are really welcoming and stuff. But I notice in some of them, at least, as they get bigger, it does become a bit more.
It's a little more corporate
in some sense, right? It does become like a power thing, and it kind of like loses its like the naive like nature of it, like just the love, passion nature of it. So I know what you mean. Oh, there you go. There's a tip from Michael Martin. Balcones Distillery. Have you been to this?
I have. It's one of my favorites. It's great. Great watering hole. I have an office, but I can work from anywhere. So I'll often go. I actually was there last Friday. Left the office at 3 and went and worked on my laptop with a beer. Michael, if you haven't tried their beer yet, highly recommend it.
Yeah, see, I did not do it. Yeah, Michael gets around, man. Okay, Ozan says, name one most favorite Liverpool player and least favorite player.
Oh gosh. Are we talking specific time frame or just in general?
Well, we'll go with your last 20 years over here.
Yeah. I mean, I think the easy answer is Stevie. Just the heartbeat. And he was it. As I was getting started and just watching him. FA Cup, all the big games, and just his commitment to the club, and I think my love for him grew over the years as I got older and more mature and understanding more the heartbeat of what Liverpool was. Least favorite, gosh, that's a good one. I don't know. I'm trying to think.
Honestly, in the last decade, I find it hard. I mean, obviously, it's easier to pick on guys as the team is doing poorly.
Yeah.
But
I mean, this is like grasping at straws, but Fabio Barini, for some reason, is coming up. He just felt like a prick. And to your point, it's like the last 10 years, under Klopp and bringing in the guys that we brought in, everyone just like fit and meshed well. And, there's a whole, Liverpool won't sign players that are conceited or full of themselves and one man show. It's everyone's just been fun to watch.
You think that's part of like the winning though, makes everybody more likable, or in fact, or people get along better, obviously, if the circumstances are better, so
Yeah,
they don't
but I
see it
think
as quickly.
I don't know. I think winning helps for sure. It builds camaraderie. But then you look at well, let's just use PSG as an example. Not today's PSG, but years prior with Mbappe. Like you had Mbappe, who arguably, one of the most talented players in the world. They're winning the league every year. They're going far in the Champions League. They never quite got there. And the team was really built around this ego.
Yes.
And then he leaves, and Enrique comes in, and I mean, I love him as a coach as a whole, but what he's done, I know we lost to them this year in Champions League, but they were just incredible to watch.
Yeah.
And you take the egos out of it, and yes, they're winning, and it builds camaraderie, and it builds,
Oh, you lost your mic.
Sorry about that.
There we go. You're back.
So I think winning helps, but I also think choosing the right players that are going to have that team mentality, which I think Klopp solidified for us. Even going back to Balotelli, right? Like Balotelli was supposed to be this iconic signing and exciting signing, but he didn't do anything, and we didn't go anywhere with him. And we offloaded him quickly, thankfully, but. So I think it really is about who they are as a person outside of just a footballer.
And I think here's another thing. I think when you have, 80, 90% of the team in a certain mode, sometimes even the guy who comes in might have that ego, kind of like blends in to the rest of it. Whereas if everybody is all over the place, I think you get those characters a lot more. Ozan says his goal celebration was, he didn't score a whole lot, so I really do not remember. He has Borini had a huge, pretty solid career, not solid in a good team or anything like that in Turkey, actually.
Yeah.
So I think he's still there, like kicking about. But yeah, scored some goals against Fenerbahce, which Bickler is in the house. Bickler, Bickler.
I do. What's up, Paul?
I'm sorry.
He's one of the Orange County OGs.
Oh, but I figured when 4:30 you were talking about a bar. I know Bickler was in the neighborhood and he would have to be there at the time. Yeah, Bickler, like I say, Bickler, Galley, and myself, we're gearing up for this 24-hour podathon that's going to happen first week of August now. So we're actually reaching out to supporter clubs and stuff like that right now, trying to get sponsors and all that. But let's get to the news over here. It's not official yet, but almost official. Pretty much official. We have the Kerkez deal in the books. Well, at least we got this from Fabrizio, so we're hoping it will be announced later today. I was hoping like it would be by the time we got on air, but I did not really see anything yet. The biggest question, I think everybody is on board with the signing, probably worst kept secret for a while, but it's not official till it's official. The biggest conversation now is who is the one that's going to be going out? Who do you think?
As much as I hate to say it, I think Robertson goes. I think if there's an opportunity to get him and Tsimikas out and bring two new signings in, then I think we do it. Robertson, talking about the heartbeat of the team, like he breathes the soul of Liverpool. He's been there. He's a veteran. He's got the experience. But I do think, over the last couple seasons, his legs are starting to get out. And I think, I think we saw it this past season as Slot came in, is like, hey, we don't want you charging like you used to. I think about that game against City where he went from our corner flag and chased the ball down all the way down, and pressing the keeper, which is, I love it. But I think Slot wants him playing a little differently. And I just think, as he's coming to the end of his contract in the next couple of years, he's getting older. His role is going to be changing. I think
he is asked not to bomb as much because we want to play safer, or is part of it that knowing you're not going to be able to bomb back and forth like you used to? Because the big part of bombing up is being able to bomb down.
Right. I think it's probably a mix of both. Especially when you had Salah and Trent on the opposite flank doing the same thing. We already knew that there was some defensive fragility on the right side. And, from what I've watched from Slot's teams, is we just want to find balance.
Yeah.
And I think a little bit more balance than what we saw under Klopp. More defensive balance than just pure attack. And so I think if, I know there's rumors of Atletico coming in for Robertson, and I think if we can get a decent fee for him, he's probably gone.
Yeah, somebody had posted something about it. The conversation was about Konate actually, but they were posting all the wages and stuff like that for the team as of now. And I don't know, I totally agree with you, mind you, with his leadership and everything like that. And everybody who follows the channel knows what I think about Costas as a player, not as a person, as a player.
Yeah.
And so I would much rather keep Robertson for all the other qualities he brings, as well as I think he's a better player than Costas, even at this age and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the problem is, man, when you look at that and you're like, do you keep a guy at, I think he was 160? I think we would, right? It's not our money kind of a deal. But I think when you look at the business end of it, I don't know if they look at that and say, yeah, I don't know. It just does not make as much business sense to keep a guy for years.
Especially if he's not going to be our starter.
Yeah.
It's we're not City. We can't have guys on $150,000, $160,000 sitting on the bench week in and week out.
Tony says, it's my worry about Wirtz, the ego thing. Do you agree? I'm hoping, I know why, obviously, with the price tag and everything like that, but I'm hoping goes back to what I was saying earlier. When you have, and I actually asked this on Monday to the boys at night as well as Matush in the morning. That's one of my concerns, is when you make too many changes kind of a deal. Yeah. But I feel like if 80-90%, like we were talking a bit ago, is in a certain mode, it's a lot easier for a guy like Wirtz to come in and fill in and kind of grow into his role, as opposed to go to a team that's struggling. For example, if you went to United or somewhere like that, where he arrives as the savior, I think it's a different mode and a different ego, as opposed to coming in as yet another great piece and not necessarily a savior.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with that. I guess there's always the concern of ego when you're paying that price tag. He's still young. He's what, 22?
22,
yeah. So I think there's that threat, especially when you hear all the pundits that, this is the wonder kid, he's the next big thing. So I think it's easy. I think one big factor to consider is his agents, as mom and dad, which is rare for a player of his stature, I think. And so, and even in that first interview that he did, he's like, I'm here to win. I'm here to, I wasn't coming here to just have fun. I'm ready to get to work. I'm excited about the team. That speaks to me more of, hey, I know I'm not the whole team here. To your point, coming into United, even in Arsenal, right? Who have been competitive over the years, but there's still that missing factor. Yeah. He comes in as that missing factor. There's a lot more pressure. There's a lot more responsibility. There's a lot more inflation on the player, the person, and opportunity for that ego to fill in. Whereas you're coming into a team with Van Dijk, with Salah, two of the top players in the world in their positions. You've got Luis Diaz has done big things. Cody Gakpo's that's doing big things. Yep. McAllister, who's arguably one of the best midfielders in the world right now. So, if you're coming into a really well-established team, it's hard to be that guy.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, maybe like Saidu says, let's be optimistic and hope that it
Sure.
doesn't happen. But yeah, I just don't get that vibe from him, and I kind of trust the team a bit more, I guess, the squad a lot more. And this is why when people talk about, they're dismantling the front line to, like get 3 outs, 3 in, and stuff. When you do that many changes, I think you have a lot more little cracks that can
Yeah.
make the whole thing crack. But I think if you have a stability and you introduce 2, 3 guys who are solids in there, I
Yeah.
think, and based on what we see right now, like from Frimpong, I don't know as much about Kerkez. He looks like Robertson, like a young Robertson in every freaking sense. Playing style, little dickish.
Yep.
Probably like opponents are not gonna like him as much, but we're gonna love him. So he feels exactly like a young one over there. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's an odd thing. The parents, because I was actually talking a lot of shit about Trent having his brother do the deal.
Well, I
'Cause
think
I
the
was
parent,
never that
parents
level.
and mother are completely different.
That's true too.
No.
That's true too. Yeah. And he is like really young still. I mean, this is his basically first major contract in some ways. I've been talking about this a little bit, I think, on Monday. Um, Xavi says, I don't understand how a club of stature of Liverpool is constantly letting so many important players run into the last year of the contract. Obviously, there was a question earlier from Liverpool videos about Konate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like that's the way we're kind of towards headed. You are going to have players occasionally who are going to, I mean, kind of, we call it over here in the States and testing the market, right? They're going to kind of like roll the dice on themselves and test the market, especially at that age. I think Konate's age is like a good spot for that. And there will be a lot of people coming after him. I think it kind of goes with the territory of having a lot of good players and players who are willing to gamble on themselves. If I was Konate, I would probably not do that gamble. I would try to sign a contract that has a release clause and have somebody come for me if that's the case, knowing
Right.
his injury history. But if he's rolling the dice on himself, that's all him.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's part of Liverpool's structure too, right? Like we're not buying the 26, 27, 28-year-old players that are more established. We're buying them young. They're incredible talents and developing into even better players under, the leadership at Liverpool. And so trying to figure out, like, do we go against that model and start bringing in people that are looking for kind of their ending spot, or are we good bringing in the younger talents, developing them, and being okay with them walking away? I also think we've had leadership, in the back office overhauls in the last few years, right? It was, Richard Hughes just came in last year. Edwards came back. And so, there was this weird transition period where a lot of these big contracts were coming to an end and there was no real oversight, or, I mean, I'm speaking based on what little information we have,
Yeah.
as fans, right? But, you'd imagine there's less oversight, or there's transition struggles with these contracts at crucial times where these conversations would be had about renewals starting sooner. And so I'd be interested to see if we're in the same situation in the next few years, assuming, who we have in the back office remains intact.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is, I mean, the player's never going to tell you, yeah, man, I'm going to leave. So they're going to come into a situation. So it's kind of similar to what we have going, I guess, with Konate right now. I mean, we talked about something on the Monday night podcast. Like, do you take your losses and say, hey, I don't want him leaving on a free like Trent did. I'd rather take half the price. Because, I mean, if we're going after Gay and, like the price is being talked about as 40 to 50, well, that's because he's on the last year of his contract.
Right.
Last year they turned down 70 for him. So
Right.
it's going to be the same case. You're going to have to, like discount it a little bit. Do you take that loss or do you keep the player and see if you can work something on? And if you can't kind of a deal. I almost feel like when the team is really good, I don't know, let's look at Szoboszlai, for example, right?
Mm-hmm.
Last year, I think he was one of the, like, you had to pencil him in because of his running. It hurts when he was not on there.
Sure.
Not sure how we're gonna play this year and stuff like that. But with Wirtz coming, all that, if something happens where somehow he kind of starts losing his spots and losing his minutes, I can see certain players saying, "Hey, I can go start somewhere else, another contender, another like top team kind of a deal, and still run their contract out." Because we want to have the world's best backup as our backup kind of a deal, but he
Sure.
doesn't want to be a backup. So I can see some guys more and more running their contracts down, get the sign-on fee, and get the wages at the same time, because the other team can now give you wages because they're not giving you 50, 60 just to have the
Right.
rights to a contract.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of like, I feel like where the business is headed. Are we set for Milos Wednesday? Yeah, I was set for Milos Monday personally, but never happens. And then I thought it was going to happen, like I say, yesterday, and everything. I don't think they could get it in time. But stable structure, sporting structure between 21 and 24 is the culprit, said Lucho, and that's a good point. But I mean, what would have been done differently? I'll ask you that, Steven. Like, if you had Edwards all the way along, let's say Konate's situation comes up. Look,
Yep.
I'm not even like bringing in the equation the whole Van Dijk Mo trend thing, because I know people love Klopp and I do as well, but I put that a lot on Klopp, because when Klopp announces that with the uncertainty of the next manager and stuff like that, there was no way you were going to resign those guys in
Right.
January that year, because they, nobody's going to commit to something they don't know.
Right.
But what would have been done differently?
I think, well, and I think the other thing, if we're talking specifically about Konate, I think if Edward remains in place, I think those conversations are starting much sooner, right? With 2.5, 3 years left on the contract, I think you start having conversations about it. But I also think, look at Konate's injury record. If we're talking specifically about him,
Yep.
The first few years of last season was the most he's played since he signed with us.
Yep.
And it was a stellar season. Everyone's happy. We've always known he's a talent, but you're also betting or hedging bets, hedging risk if you're having those, if you're holding off on those conversations, if his injury record continues to be what it has been.
Yeah.
And so I think that's another part of it, is it's an individual player situation. But I think if Edwards sticks around and we maintain that back office staff that we've got, those conversations aren't waiting until the last 12 or 18 months. I think we start having those conversations 2 years out about renewals.
Yeah, right? Like kind of a couple of steps ahead and committing to certain guys. Because let's face it, if they sign Konate before last season to a higher wage long-term contract, I think a lot of eyebrows would be raised, knowing his injury history.
Right.
So it's kind of like two sides of the Edwards of today is not that of yesterday. Saidu, suddenly he's signing people, so you're happy now. You were complaining about Edwards all along. Don't be coming back to my side now after you complain about him. Liberal Video says, how can we come on the channel? Well, first of all, you can do what Steven did. Contact us, get a conversation going, and then we work things out. Verona, a bit shy. Dude, I'm on camera, so the bar has been set extremely low for you to just kind of like slightly go over. But yeah, we will have actually, we did try it once, only had a couple of people. Maybe we didn't advertise it enough. And I don't think the channel was big enough at the time too, but we will be doing a call-in show actually. So pretty soon, I would say, because once the transfers are over, we can probably come and sit down and chat about those. But we're thinking at least once a month or twice a month doing a call-in show. And yeah, you will not have to turn your camera on if you don't have to. We're not going to force you to turn the camera on, but there's that. Mr. Barrett, what's going on, man? 11, 18, 22, 31. Yeah, exactly. I think it goes back to his injury history in that one. Thanks, Tony, because otherwise, I don't have a lot to say. So we're going to have Steven and you guys talk over here. So, there we go. Kevin, tell us what's happening on with Gay. Because Kevin being a half Crystal Palace fan, Gay will join, but only if guaranteed starts as his priority. That's a good point over there. What do you think of that whole Gay deal? I mean, will he join? That's a good point, because he will want regular starts to make it to the World Cup squad. But at the same time, he will know that if we're not signing Konate to an extension, even if we do sign Konate to an extension, I mean, Van Dijk is going to be here for another 2 years. So eventually the spot is going to be there.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like Gahey a lot. I think he would slot in really well. But I understand the concern of regular starts. If we're not going to renew Konate's contract, we're not going to sell him. If I'm slot, I want someone that's going to be with me long term. I want someone that is going to come in and be with me for the next 2, 3, 4 years. And I'd bench Konate if I'm slot. If we are going to make that move for Gahey.
If I took contracts out of the equation and told you looked at the bench, you need a center back to come in, and you had two of those guys sitting, who would you pick?
Oh,
I asked the tough questions around here, Steven.
That's a really tough question because it's if you look strictly at stats from last season, I was obviously looking into him, hearing that news. All his stats are better than Konate. He outperformed Van Dijk in a certain area. So stats alone is like, wow, that's a hard argument against. But I also don't watch Palace week in and week out. So I know Konate. I think if in this moment, I'd probably lean Konate, more of just lack of knowledge of Gay's actual game, not watching him every single week.
Yeah, that's fair. I think like one thing that eases my concern about Gay is, when you sign center backs from clubs who are perhaps defending more or at times playing the counter and stuff like that, is he also played for England and played well where there was a high line and everything like that. So Gay is 24 and he's younger than Konate. I did not know that. I thought they were about the same age. I actually thought Konate was a year less because he does look older than he is. And I think we've seen him along for a long time. It's like Gomez. He should be like 55, but he's not. So I think it's just a matter of how much like we've seen him over here. I mean, I think he can play alongside Van Dijk as well. I do agree with Saidu. It's just a matter of, that's a tough sell, right? But then, I mean, I guess I'll ask you, do you cut your losses short and say, we'll sell Konate? I don't even know if the market is there for him, though. Like, is somebody going to come in and give, I don't know, like 30, 40 for him, knowing I'll just wait another 11 months over here, man, and then get him for nothing?
I mean, I think if Gahey's going for 40 or 50 in his last year of his contract, then I think we could at least get 30 or 40 for Konate in the last year. Now, I think it also depends on where you're selling it. From a Premier League to Premier League, I think we can get that for sure. I think if you're going outside the Premier League, I know there's talk of Madrid. Then I think the fee probably drops a bit. But I think if there's a team that is looking for a good central defender, I think the market could be there for him. I just haven't heard of many teams actually going after center backs right now.
That's the only thing that I did not like as much about the Kwanzaa deal when we did I like the buyback and everything like that. I like the deal as a whole. I felt like now we just announced to the world, we're going to go buy a center back. So like the need is very clear. I would have in some ways rather have at least started the negotiations, which they might have in the background. Obviously, we don't know. They might have in the background, but I would rather have that in the, already sorted, because now you're out in the markets. It's kind of like all these teams looking for center forwards, and these center forwards are like sitting like this, waiting for the bids to come in because they know like these guys are going to sign somebody, kind of a deal. Right.
Well, and I think from a Konate standpoint, there's a limited number of teams that he'd be going to. He's not going to Bayer Leverkusen like Kwanzaa is, right? Like he's going to go to another big European powerhouse, the Barcelonas, the Madrids, the Bayern Munichs. Like, they're limited in opportunities for him to actually leave.
Yeah, that's true. And that's the thing. Like the market is really shrunk, and I just feel like they would wait a year. And Barry says he's not leaving, and I do agree. I mean, that's the thing. We're saying it for Gay. The same thing goes for Konate. That he will want to have like a solid season to be able to get going over here. Yes, though I did start those rumors actually about PSG. No, I mean it just made like natural sense. I don't even know if they're interested, but Marquinhos is not getting any younger, so I would think he would be kind of like a person that they would be after. He's French, he grew up there and stuff like that. So, but they are going up, which I thought that was like an odd ordeal, to be honest with you. I thought they would come in for Konate unless we're making it really clear that we're not selling Konate as well. I had a question over here that I missed out over. Let me ask you this. It really depends on how we're going to play more than anything else, probably, Steven. But how soon? I know when we were having a conversation on Monday, based on who is here, I think Gally was mentioning that he wouldn't be surprised if none of these new guys start. I don't agree. I do think we're going to see a lot of the new faces because we're going to have a full preseason.
Yeah.
Do you see him starting at right back over Bradley?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's a possibility. To your point, we got these guys in early. They're going to have a full preseason. It's Slot's second full preseason. The core group knows what he's expecting. So I'll be interested to see, someone like Frimpong, who, new to the team, hasn't had that time with Slot, how he adjusts. But he looks incredible. He's sharp. He's excited to be there. So I really do think it's a toss-up. I don't think we would have signed him if there wasn't a possibility of him starting. And so I hate it for Bradley just because I think, he's deputized well. He's stepped up.
Yep.
It's been really fun to watch his progression, over the last couple of years, filling in for Trent. But I do think long-term, Frimpong's probably the future at right back for us. So I would be surprised if he doesn't start.
See, we're away, right? The first game we are away.
We're home.
Oh, we're home. Then you would think it would be. I thought it was away to Bournemouth. I don't know why I thought that. If it was away, I would have probably started Bradley, and then he would get a yellow card by halftime, and then you can sub in like Frimpong. At home is a different deal because I do almost feel like. And look, we don't know yet. That's why I'm kind of really looking forward to the preseason to see how these new pieces are being used and everything. But if it is like a traditional back four and stuff like that, I almost get the feeling that when we're attacking, like when we're going to have more of the ball and really going to try to break down and stuff like that, we would have Frimpong. But in games where we're going to need to be a bit more careful defensively and maybe not push the backs up as much, I would probably say then Bradley. But it's good. These are great problems to have, honestly.
Sure. Yeah, it's probably the most confident I feel at right back, really, since Bradley stepped up. Is what do we do when our if Trent's injured, what do we do? Now, I actually think we've got two legitimate right backs, one already Premier League proven, and one that is an incredible talent that I expect to just take off under Slot. So, I think we're in the best situation that we've been in a long time, really.
I think so. I'm just kind of really intrigued to see how Frimpong will be utilized with Mo, ridiculous speed that he has. Will Mo cut more inside, allow the overlap all the time instead of kind of going out wide and being the creator and stuff like that. So and I think this is what makes it really tricky because they are very, very different. Mind you, Bradley was different than Trent too. But there were some similarities, whereas you get Frimpong, a totally different animal. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does. Steve Nicol must be criticizing himself, his toothpaste, you name it. That's what he does. He is not. Look, I don't think a team who had Trent as a right back can ever poo-poo another player for having a defensive liability. Right? Anything is an upgrade. My thing is, I know I've seen some highlights where he kind of overcommits, but my thing with him, Steven, is one, he has the will to defend, so he will try to get back, not jog back like Trent was doing.
Sure.
And he has the speed to be able to get back on top of that. So even if he takes bad positions, I have more confidence in him coming back into the TV screen. Because I knew.
Well, and I think, I think to what you were saying a few minutes ago is I think it depends on the game and what the other team's setup is. If we need to be more defensively when we have a more attacking side, maybe that's when Bradley comes in. And
Yeah.
on the games that we need to break down a low block, then we bring in Frimpong and let him do his thing. I would love to grab a beer with Stevie outside of the ESPN studios,
Yes,
just
that
to
would
get his actual opinion, because there is no way he believes half of the stuff that he says.
I think like any guys on ESPN, this guy, it's like debate club. Like,
Yeah.
like you're like, here's a topic, do your best, man. Like you get out there. And I feel like sometimes like the pundits go out of their way so they don't look like a homer to kind of like criticize things.
Yeah. Or just to bring in some conflict, because then it raises conversation. Oh, did you see what he said? He's wrong. Yeah. I'm going to share this clip all across social media. So it benefits them to be controversial.
Yeah, I mean, like it's just like I almost feel like they pick straws before the show, and you're like, you're gonna say Frimpong is shit, and you're gonna say Frimpong is good. Go ahead, it's kind of a deal. Like it's just like a really expensive debate club, is what it is. Is the real life Grinch of I mean, pretty much, right? He just sits there, and then even they win 2-0. He's like, oh, I don't know. It's like, and then stop talking about back in your day because things are very different. I think some of these, like, it's one thing when you hear like Carragher and Neville speak, because at least they're like within the vicinity of these new players. But I feel like when you can't really compare the game, and you can't really compare even the situations and like the business side of things compared to like Stevie's like era. So
that's a good point.
Oh God.
Oh, that's good.
Oh man. Yes, only took 39 minutes for them. Yes, I am getting better. I'm learning Spanish in 2 weeks. God, man. Honestly, Trent is lucky. I would probably could have produced a lot of shorts. When I watched that when I was on vacation, I'm like, this mother. But yeah, that's another. Okay, let's talk about before we go on. No way. I'm kind of debunking this right here, but I'll ask you to see what you say.
No, I don't. I think we're too good. There may be a little bit of hangover from last season, but I think we're strengthening in the right positions. Admittedly, I think, and I'm sure I'm not alone, but Slot was a new name or a newer name to me when he was announced as the head coach. Wasn't really sure what to expect. I was mourning the loss of Klopp, but now having a full season behind us and seeing Slot do what he does, like I'm fully convinced he's the way forward.
Yeah.
Like, I have no questions. I mean, I'm sure there will be battles for us to overcome. Because that's just what we do as Liverpool. But I think we're strengthening in the right positions. I think there's still a lot of outgoings to see through the rest of the summer. I'm sure we bring in a few more solid players. I'm trying to think the last time Liverpool spent this much money in a transfer window in the last 20 years. I mean, I really can't remember a season where we had this many quality signings, spending this much money. So no, I can't imagine us. I think we're fighting for the title again. I think we go further in the Champions League. I think we got really unlucky this season, pairing up against PSG in their season of revival. Again, I mean, watching them, they were deserved winners of the Champions League. I actually really enjoyed watching them just on the side. So no, I think we're battling. I think we have a really good chance to battle on all four fronts deep into the season. But Champions League, I think we gotta go all out for that, and I think we go all out for the title again.
I honestly think too, like Slot will approach the Champions League very differently. I think we're going to see a lot more rotation there, and it's going to be like, what's the freaking difference? Is what it's going to be. Unless the powers that be up top say money is the difference, but apart from that, I just don't see us. And here's the thing, we have a deeper squad now, so when you do rotate, it's not like you're just throwing kids out there. It's going to be Bradley out there instead of Frimpong or whatever the case might be. So
we're not bringing Owen back into face Real Madrid.
Look, I shit on Trent more than anyone. I started shitting on Trent defending 3 years ago when everybody was still like, it's the system. But honestly, he basically said it's different because he's not passing to, anybody who's played the game, like, if you play for a long time, I know exactly how you want the ball, which side, you want the ball to. Do you want it in front of you? Do you want to come back to it? Stuff like that. I really thought he meant it was different because he's passing to totally different people now. It's almost like, literally joining a new team. It's like just passing to totally different people. I really think that's what he meant, but, it makes it easy. Trust me, there's so much other stuff to shit on him without like twisting his words.
Well, and I think even if that is what he meant, it's different or it's harder. I think Slot's comments, after he announced that he wasn't happy with his training, he wasn't happy. Like, I think Slot poo-pooed on that already. It's like, no, Trent just didn't show up to our training. That's why he wasn't challenged, because he wasn't giving any effort into it.
New Zealand. So both of us have someone to talk to. Yeah, man. I don't know why. I don't know why that is like that. By the way, if you're joining us this morning, do hit that thumbs up. So some other soul in New Zealand maybe will see us and join us as well. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe as well. Well, we end most shows with predictions over here, Stephen. So I'm going to ask you a more broader one. I think today was the day that, Nunez is talking to Napoli and stuff like that. They're trying to see if something can be done over there. How do you see that frontline situation unfolding?
That is a good question. I think Nunez goes. Diaz, I think we hold on to. Gapco, I think, comes in. I think unless we bring in another striker, I think we end up lining up with Gapco, Diaz, and Salah, and then you've got Verts behind him. But I don't know. I know there's conversation about how do you pronounce it? Ekitike?
Yeah.
Which I think is exciting. There's rumors of Isaac coming over from Newcastle. I don't see that happening just based on fee that would be required to sign him. I think it'd be an incredible signing if we can somehow work it out. And if anyone can do it, it's Edwards.
Yeah.
But now I actually think we go into the season light on the front line.
Really? I hope not. I can see that happening. And I can see, it really depends on what we do not know what they're planning to do with Beards. But we assume he's going to be more free roaming. Do we go to a 2 up top so we don't get a striker? I don't know. I see some stuff on Ekitike. This is like the tough part because I don't follow Bundesliga that closely.
Right.
So, if you watch highlights, I can make a highlight video of myself kicking some ass. But you don't see the rest of the time where I'm getting my ass kicked. So
right.
And I've seen some videos of like Ekitike for good and bad, like stuff that he's like, like missing out on everything. But I don't know. I would like to see a striker. I've been a big fan of like keeping Jota because I think he's the ideal guy to bring off the bench to get you pop in and get you a goal when you need it. But I do think it would be Isak would be a dream. I don't know. Like you said, it's possible. And
that's Jota's an interesting take. And I guess you've been asking me all the questions. My question to you around him, this last injury, he came back and he just felt off. It felt like he had lost a bit of his touch. Do you think, heading into the new season, do you think he gets that back, or is, what do you think his projection for this upcoming season looks like?
See, I think he gets it back. I think everybody is judging him on the last 3-4 months of the season over here, which he was poor, right? but I
Yeah.
think he gets that back. He was the choice initially over everybody else to start in the middle. And he did
Yep.
play. If you go back and watch like highlights from like the earlier in the season and stuff like that, you
Yeah.
can see not only like scoring goals, but he's part of a lot of like in the build up and stuff like that by dropping back. So I think he kind of gets it. He's a clever footballer. I think that's one thing with him. Not
Yeah.
only as a scorer, like being in the right place and stuff, but in build up, like seeing the spaces to drop into and stuff. He's a clever footballer. So I think, do I want him? Like, would I be feel confident as in the starter? Probably no. But
Okay.
I do want him in this squad as, because if somebody is coming off the bench, like if you see Jota warming up and coming in the 60th minute where you need a goal, I'm like, okay, we got something going here. Like, he
Yeah.
might get a goal. And I do want that in a player. Not, it's almost like Divock, like when he was coming in, you're like, all right, we're scoring. But
Yeah.
not in that sense as much, but it's like a score. I mean, there are times where he's in a situation, he takes the shot, and you almost expect it to hit the corner and see it in the net. You can visualize it going into the
Yeah.
net.
Yeah.
I never gotten that with Nunez, for example. I visualize it hitting the post, or I visualize the flag going up for him and stuff. But but I do get that with Jota, and I do think he would be. It goes back to what I'm saying. Like, I don't want anybody selling 3 people, signing 4 people for the front. I think we've already made a lot of big changes. If you
Yeah.
can keep a guy who's valuable, hey, somebody comes in and gives 50 for him. See you later. It was nice knowing you. But I
Yeah.
just don't think the replacement cost alone. Who are you going to get for a guy to come off the bench in the 60th? And you and I are going to be like, we're going to
Yeah.
get one over.
Confident. Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you. I don't think we should sell him. But I think he is. I agree. I don't think he's a starter. But I think he's one of those guys you want on the bench to come in and change the game a bit.
Yep. I don't think it's something different. I mean, in the rotation and stuff, and then in Europe, he does play really weird. That's why all his injuries are weird, I think. I mean, there are times he reminds me of like when Jasmine was like 4 or 5. Like, people just she was so short, like the legs were closed, so like nobody could get the ball. The ball would always be in front of her sometimes. He scores goals like that where people are like swiping at the ball, but he still has it and he's going and he scores. So I mean, that's what it's gonna be. Isak will happen. Man, well, I'll take you at your
All
word.
right.
As part of the really. Yeah, see, I don't know about Jones, because I don't know if you want to get thinner at midfield. But Jota, see, then okay.
Okay.
Well,
What if you replace Jones with Gomez? Jota and Gomez.
no,
Because there was
already
talk
one
about
center back.
Gomez going there last season.
Yeah, but then you're down to 2 center backs. You have nobody. And I did read something about like Gomez being in the plans. I feel like Gomez is your number 3 right now, and occasionally can be your number 2 center back next to Van Dijk.
Yeah.
I'm a big Gomez fan and apologist, so there's that.
No,
But
I'm too. He's one of those cult heroes.
And he's not going anywhere until he gets his damn goal. So I would not want. The only thing with Jota is like, if you're giving Jota, you still would have to like sign someone young or somebody really old or something like that to be your backup striker. I knew that was like a bait for you, I think, Saidu, to come in and poop on Jones. Yeah, he threw the Jones out there. But then the thing about City to start, I think so. The only advantage, I'll ask you that. The only advantage, I don't know if anybody's watching this thing. I have not watched. I watched some highlights. I have not watched a game yet. But I think they will have an advantage in the sense that it's almost like another preseason, especially since they spent so much money in January and brought a lot of new people in. But at the same time, it'll be a disadvantage in the long. I think it'll be an advantage early in the season, but a disadvantage towards the latter part of the season because these guys have had no break.
Yeah. I mean, I think they go into the season, depending on how far they go, how long of the break between Club World Cup ending and season starting. I mean, you're walking into the season potentially game ready.
Yeah.
Playing full 90 minutes. It's probably a more intense preseason than you would have normally. It's also hot as hell out here. They're playing, there's heat waves and, Florida humidity alone, in the Carolinas and Florida, it's miserable. So, yeah, I think you have a really interesting point. I think early on in the season, it could very well benefit them, but over the course of the season, assuming they do well in the Champions League again and go well into the FA Cup and you know, all of that, I think it could hurt them long term.
At least I'm hoping so, because I do think, I mean, Arsenal is starting to make some moves and stuff too. I like this, by the way. This is a good way to end the show, I think. With Norgard and Odegaard, they will give their guard of honor. To be fair, though, I think that's a good signing. And it's only like 10, 15 million or something like that I saw. I think him for some depth is a pretty good signing. He's a totally different player than Partey, though. So I didn't get that part of it. 98 degrees. I can't remember which player was complaining that they could not, their toes were burning or something like that. I don't know if they were playing on turf.
I think a lot of these fields are turf. So I get that. I mean, you know, if it's 98 in North Carolina, the field's probably 115.
Exactly, right? I mean, because you're pretty much playing on asphalt at that point. So yeah, I can definitely see that. 94 in Houston. It's nasty out here in Chicago too. It doesn't get any of it. It is the season. I mean, this is kind of like when they had the World Cup in Mexico and stuff like that. People were like dying this time of year. So is it really? No way.
Wow. Well, like if he's in Australia, it's snowing down there. New Zealand.
Yes, yeah.
It's winter. So
yeah. Where is Divock? Wait, hold on. No, he's not. He's not in the Major League Soccer. No, he never came here.
No, I thought he went to Turkey.
No, I would have heard. Last he was on the bench of Forest. I think he's still officially a AC Milan player. I think he was on loan at.
I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah, to Google, Uncle Google, we go.
Milan.
Yeah, he's still officially an AC Milan player.
Yeah,
but he'll probably be. I would take him in at Fenerbahce in a heartbeat. Just for shits and giggles more than anything else. I don't know how well he would do. He probably won't do as well, but I would take him just because, I mean, let's face it, last time we saw him at Forest, he had like a beer gut going. Like, I mean, I remember the photos and like laughing about it and stuff like that. But I mean, we've had this discussion about being a legend and stuff. He's definitely a legend. Chicago Fire. The word effect. It's not like he's in Chicago. I'm gonna go see him. To be honest with you, we did go and see Shaqiri once, but that was about it. And that wasn't for Shaqiri. It was just like a game. I do not. Are you a Major League Soccer guy?
I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not. It's too slow for me.
Yeah, I just feel like any league that doesn't take itself seriously and still plays during national games and stuff like that. And I know the scheduling reasons and all that. You're not going to take yourself seriously. I'm not going to take you seriously. You know, if you're still going to play league games with the international players gone, like you're not taking yourself seriously. So I'm not going to either. So wake me up when things get serious. But we'll call it for today. I will be back Friday morning, but the ball crew will be back tomorrow night. So 7 o'clock Central, 8 o'clock Eastern. Tune in for that. Hey, Steven, thanks a lot, man. Really nice meeting you.
Thanks for having me.
We'll definitely see more of you over here in American Scouser. If you want to see more of Steven, and if you haven't done so already, do hit that subscribe button and hit the thumbs up. Thanks a lot for all those joining in the comments today. Really appreciate it. And Liverpool videos, that call-in show is coming your way. So have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care.